To chair the session, may I invite His Excellency Juan Antonio Marc Pujol, who is a distinguished Spanish diplomat and eminent writer. Over his illustrious career, he has served as Spain's ambassador to Russia, to Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Belarus, and Armenia, and represented Spain at the United Nations and the WTO. He is the author of acclaimed works including El Espacio Iberoamericano, the Ibero-American Space, and Momentum. This book will be launched in India on the 3rd of October in Delhi under the name The Great Reset, Alt Control Human. Our speakers today are Mr. Abi Subedi, who will be joining us from Kathmandu via Zoom. Abi Subedi is an eminent essayist, literary critic, linguist, playwright, cultural writer, and poet from Nepal, author of more than 24 books and over 10 plays. He writes widely on freedom, culture, arts, and social transformation. Here on the dais is Chinmoy Guha, who is a renowned author, translator, and academician, a distinguished scholar of French. He has been knighted twice by the French government and received the Sahitya Akademi Award in 2019. His books include Where the Dreams Cross, T.S. Eliot and French Poetry, and Chile Kothar Unmadini, and Bindu Theke Bindu Te. Daniel Neges is a French scholar of Telugu literature and culture. He is a former associate professor at INALCO in Paris. He has conducted extensive fieldwork in Andhra Pradesh, authored a Telugu-French dictionary, and translated over 16 Telugu short stories. His works have been recognized with honors such as the Bharatiya Rashtrapati Puraskar. Satyanarayan Balkaran Singh is an economist, author, cultural icon, and a dancer from Trinidad and Tobago. He hails from Trinidad. He's the founder of Kathak Kala Sangam and has authored 6 books, staged over 75 productions, and performed worldwide, blending policy expertise with art and culture. Sonu Saini is assistant professor at the Center of Russian Studies, JNU. He has published over 40 research articles and 20 books and has served as interpreter for the President, Prime Minister, and senior leaders of India and Russia. His translations and scholarship focus on Russian literature. Subhashini Lata Kumar is assistant professor at Fiji National University, a Hindi literature scholar. She has written extensively on Fiji Hindi, diaspora narratives, and cultural retention. Her works include Fiji Ka Hindi Sahitya, Ek Sanchayan, and Fiji Mein Hindi Bhasha or Sanskriti. And Ulfat Mukhibova is a scholar, writer, and translator from Uzbekistan. She is professor of Hindi language and literature and director of the Mahatma Gandhi Center at Tashkent State University of Oriental Studies. She has authored 8 monographs, 9 textbooks, and over 150 articles. She has translated Hindi works into Uzbek. She has represented Uzbekistan at the World Hindi Conference and has been honored by the Government of India. Together, these voices remind us that promoting Indian literature in foreign languages is not merely about translation, it is about creating bridges of understanding, carrying India's stories into the world, and welcoming the world into India's stories. I hand over the mic to the chair. Here or there, whatever you here on.
Hello, yes. Well, namaste. I'm very happy to be here with all of you to share these views on the importance of translating Indian books in other literatures. I would say that literature has the advantage to modulate our mind, integrating all the different universes that exist in this planet. For me, for example, my mind has been very influenced at the beginning by obviously Tagore, but also Neruda, James Joyce, Marcel Proust, Dostoevsky. And I remember, for example, the Spanish president of the government, Felipe González, who said that his father, before dying, he was only reading Dostoevsky. So Dostoevsky is obviously a Russian writer, but it's at 5,000 kilometers away from Spain. And the man was very much linked to Dostoevsky, to our local writers. So, you know, there are no borders in literature. As far as India is concerned, I think that it has a very high impact in the world as a soul, we could say. It's not seen as a, let's say, only as a culture, but as a soul. That's a soul of inclusiveness, of the culture for peace, of the culture for understanding. And this is extremely important in our days, because we live in a unique world. We have been very blessed. We have been now blessed by technology, that you can take a plane today and you can go to New York or Australia or Kuala Lumpur in a few hours. You can interact with other people. And the big problem is that at the end of our life, if they ask what you have discovered in this planet, maybe we have only discovered 0.1% of what exists. So it is very sad that all of us, we are misusing so much our lives, not using that to go into in-depth knowledge of what we are, in-depth knowledge on what is this planet, in-depth knowledge of what is the universe, and we are pushed toward very stupid things like wars. Today we live a very stupid moment that all people are saying we're going to increase our budgets for defense as it was going to be a video game. No, wars are destructions, are deaths, are amputations. It's extremely sad. So we have to go to a new moment, saying, especially the new generation, because as it has always been said, the war are those events who are organized by the old in order to have the young people to do it. So the young people has to be very against this new moment existing in favor of investing in arms, investing in destruction. And I think that India, by his history, by the way how has unified the country and has projected internationally, it's the country has to be the great factor in favor of peace. And I think that the soul of India is very present in all the spaces of the world. About literature, obviously it's such a rich civilization that there are lots of things to be transferred to the other cultures. In the case of Spain, we have declared 2026 as the India and Spanish dual year for culture, tourism and artificial intelligence. So we think that 2026 has to be the year that a lot of Indian literature is in the Spanish festivals, and obviously also a lot of Spanish authors here in India, in the different festivals here in Bihar, obviously in Kerala, in Jaipur. But you have to be present in the great festivals in Valladolid, in Barcelona, in Madrid, in Sevilla. So we hope that we will be able to support as much as possible the presence of Indian literature in Spain in 2026. Many thanks. I think we have to continue with the session, and okay. So are we going to give the floor? '27, where we have 28. This one?
Abhi Subedi.
Here, here. Okay. So we give the floor to the next speaker, Abhi Subedi. He is from Nepal, and he's going to inform us about what he's doing at this moment. Mr. Subedi?
Thank you. Good morning, can you see me?
You will see him here.
You can see I'm speaking. The topic I'd just like to address everybody in the panel and also the audience. I'd like to come to the subject. The subject is promoting Indian literature outside India, if I understand the talk correctly. I'd just like to begin by introducing the problem about this subject. Since I come from Nepal, where people easily understand the Hindi language and read Hindi literature, and some read Bangla literature as well, but mostly they understand Hindi literature. So I'm right from my college childhood, I'm familiar with literature written in Hindi, even though as a writer I can
Recording in progress.
write Hindi properly, but it's like I understand. There are two aspects of this question. The problem is, are we talking about the dissemination of the major trends of Indian literature within the Indic region, within India, or are we talking about disseminating the literature outside this region? The question involves the use of language. If we are talking about disseminating Indian literature, introducing Indian literature outside this region, we are talking in terms of translation. Translation, even though the chair is Spanish speaker, here the dominant language of the translation has always been English. So those of us who are come from this region where we are talking about introducing Indian literature outside, we talk in terms of the translation of Indian literature in English, which also includes theoretically, I think, Spanish, French, as well. So the first important means of introducing Indian literature outside, disseminating Indian literature outside is through translation. Translating into English and other languages. So, but I would like to say that the first task of disseminating the main trend of Indian literature through translation is translating the important literary trends of into languages of India is spoken in different parts of India. In some parts of India, I have friends, I am not very familiar with the Indian literary scene because I attend the Star Literary Festival for the last 20-25 years. I'm very familiar with the state of reading of Indian literature within the Indian region. I have found that the several writers, readers in certain parts of India do not usually understand each other. Like for example, some writers from the south in India, I found they do not read Hindi properly. So do the northern readers who don't understand the southern language, literature written in southern languages. So the first question is about translating the literary works, very rich literary works produced in India into the kind of visually comprehensible languages, whether that is Hindi or English, I don't know, but translating each other into each other's native language. There is one important part. Here, 10 Nepal might not have Hindi, and some Bangla also, even though she couldn't speak Bangla, but she did read Hindi literature. And I was exposed to Hindi literature right from my early childhood, even though I'm not a Hindi speaker, I'm a Nepali speaker, and use English for other purposes. So, there is the first condition. The second one is, as I am a reader of the Indian literature in English, writing or not all in translation, for example, Rabindranath Tagore, I read in English, for example, Gita, there was a translation, he did himself, which was edited by the Irish poet W.B.S. And then in later times, there are other writers in contemporary times, some of whom I have read also, like Gitanjali Sri, Anita Desai, Arundhati Roy, and the writings of Sankaradeva also. These Indian writers who write in English. But I have also read Indian writings, Indian literary works in English, and she is another writer whom I have read in English. But there are other writers whom I have read in English translation, Indian writers. So, use of English for translation remains a very important condition of disseminating English literature abroad, outside India. That is my first assumption. Also, I have seen that working happening in this research. And the second one is also a part of my suggestion is that the literature written in different Indian languages should be made available to the speakers of particular region within India. So this is a very important condition. The third one is that Indian literature or literature written by Indian writers is being read very, very extensively outside India nowadays. This is popular literature. Many good writers of India are read outside, and so do the Indian writers, literature written out in other languages, also translated into Indian languages. It's a big kind of an enterprise translating foreign literature in Indian languages. So I think these are mutually related questions. So I would like to end this first part of my presentation. If we start later, I would like to end my with these words, and I would like to listen to the opinion of other participants in this one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We are going to handle this session, you find convenient, giving the floor to each speaker for 5 minutes in order to pass the information that they think can interest the audience with personal experience, but the interest of the audience. After 5 minutes, I will have the right to stop the speaker, so you have just 5 minutes, in order to have the rest of the time for an interactive performance with the audience. So, no, it's 5 minutes each one, so try, you can, you are a great mind. So think of what is the interest of the audience and try to be focused on it, and then we have an open debate. So the first one who will make this effort and will be very effective is Mr. Chinoy Guha.
I'll go there.
Oh, you go there. Okay. Yes. Speed to the point. Yeah.
So, promoting Indian literature in foreign languages. I don't like the word promotion. You are not promoting anything. We all want to hear our voices heard. We want our voices to be heard. around the space in the world. And dissemination is perhaps a better word used by the previous speaker, Mr. Avi Subedi. And what is important, we don't have much time. India is a vast, multi-layered, complex country. We know that. We know that we have a surface area of 3,287,000 square kilometers. We know that it has a literature of unfathomable richness, which can match or surpass much literature of the rest of the world. And we believe that, like all literatures, as Mr. Antonio Juan Marc Pujol said, literature has no frontiers. Theoretically, very interesting, but does it happen? Is Jibanananda Das a household name like Baudelaire, Mallarmé, Yeats and Eliot? And I can say with complete honesty, because I teach both French and English, je peux dire à toute sincérité que Jibanananda Das matches all of them and surpasses many of them. I'm not a nationalist. Again, I say with complete honesty that he is great. But we have not been able to make his voices hard. It's a failure. Despite the platform that Sahitya Academy offers us with so much sincerity, so much great coordination, I would say, we have not been able to deliver the goods. We have not interacted with each other. A great writer sitting by me, who is a poet of Rajasthan, is unknown to somebody from Bengal or from Tamil Nadu. This is disaster. It's a huge country. And let's understand that we have our own problems. Let's not forget for a moment that India is the greatest language laboratory in the world. We have about 5,000 languages. And I'm not speaking about only 22 official languages. There are many languages with complete semiological systems. And we are unknown to each other. It's a huge thing. Romain Rolland wrote in a letter to Kalidash Nag, the historian, that there is a polyphony divine polyphony of India. It's a divine, we are so lucky that we speak in so many languages. We speak in 22 languages. When we have not really understood the meaning of it that way. And I totally agree with Antonio Juan Marc that after all, India is India. I agree with him it's a soul of India which has influenced the world. India is not so much a country, it's an idea. It's an idea. And so that idea has made an impact all over the world. We all know that. We read A.L. Basham's The Wonder That Was India. We all know that the Mahabharata, the Gita, the Dhammapada, the Ramayana have been translated in all important languages. It's in French. And the translation is remarkably good, I can say with complete honesty. And English, of course. But what happened to today's literature? If contemporary literature is much less known, we need to have a hard look in the mirror. No fluffy conversation would help us. No fluffy conversation will help us. We can talk about the menace of artificial intelligence, which is becoming more and more seriously threatening for us. Things are going to change in 10 years' time. But we have to know what is going wrong. The moment we look at it, we have, as Carl Sagan said, we all know that there are trillions of neurons behind our two eyeballs. Trillions. As many as the stars in the sky. And the trillions why are the trillions not trying to explore in the way that people did it in the 19th century, for example, during the Indian Renaissance? Do you know the Indian Renaissance was a century of discoveries, just like the Western Renaissance in European Renaissance. It was an age of translation. They knew Greek literature for the first time through English translations of Greece. It's French translations of Aristotle. So it was an age of translations. It was not only a age of discovery. Petrarca was a voyager. Christopher Colombo was a voyager. So they were discovering physical territories and mental territories, mental maps. We did it in the 19th century. Do you know Vidyasagor, the great, translated all his life. All his life. Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, the father of Bengali novel, for example, very modern, of course, we all know that. And he can match some of the greatest writers in the West, with Flaubert. Effortlessly. He translated his own works. But Bankim, who is he? Qui est-il? We don't know in the world situation. So something is wrong. And as the speaker said yesterday, very important, Ariel Florencia Richards of Chile said yesterday, it's a literature translation is a literature of segregation. It's beautiful, but I don't have time for this. I've no time to read U.R. Anandamurthy. It's beautiful, fine, but after some pages, something is wrong. What is wrong? Politics of translation, politics of languages. For example, we all know that after Marquez's Nobel Prize, the literary world turned towards Latin America. Before that, nothing happened. And Latin America became important. What if an Indian would have got no Nobel Prize, that focus would have been on Indian literature, on U.R. Anandamurthy, Maase Talibi. Didn't happen. Japanese were lucky. The Japanese and the Latin Americans were lucky that way, that the whole world focused on it. Was there any reason that why they wouldn't focus on Indian literature? On Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay, whose name was nominated for Nobel Prize in 1971, who almost got it. So the problem is somewhere else, and what is important is that soul of India that Mr. Antonio Juan Marc Pujol mentioned so wonderfully. We have not been able to charge them up. Indian literature, Bengal, for example, Tamil literature, Telugu, Bengali, have been translated by Sahitya Academy into English and in other languages, and also in French and English. But never, Indian literature never required in the West the aura of, say, Tolstoy. Why? The otherness was a problem. The inability to move into another space, the translation itself is a problem. Shulil Gangobadhyay, the great writer, told me once that the English translations of his works were not quite English. They wouldn't charge up a native speaker. Something is wrong. Daniel Noger would know, that it's not easy. You need a native speaker. And we need dedication. We don't have time in this age of post-truth and post-modernity, where everything is frittering away.
Now we have only 1 minute. We have no time.
Just one thing, that we had Constance Garnett, who translated Dostoevsky and Turgenev and Tolstoy all her life, dedicated her whole life to get into the skin of the Russian writers. Same with Gregory Rabassa, who translated Marquez. Do you understand that? We had Justine O'Brien, who translated Camus. Whole life. Who is going to do that? You hop around like butterflies. It's not so simple. If you don't do the translation, somebody says it's good, and then the books rot in Sahitya Academy bookstores. We have not been able to promote extend the consciousness. Translation is all about spreading the consciousness. Very important. Weltliteratur, about which Goethe spoke to Eckermann in 1827. It's very important. What did he say? The international exchange of literary works transcending national boundaries, to which Mr. Pujol referred, to foster mutual understanding and traffic of the intellectual trade. That's what Goethe said. Traffic of the intellectual trade. Where is this traffic? Because is it somebody else's fault? We know the publishers have become very difficult nowadays. It's not like a Renaissance anymore. And just one minute, I will finish off. Before we start looking at your watch, we don't have long free time to dedicate ourselves to real UNMESHA, efflorescence. Kothai Shomoy. We are just in a time when there's a macabre dance, marketing is the buzzword, pseudo-history, and not more especially Indian novels in English attract worldwide attention. So it's more facile that way. More profound knowledge of India is more difficult to acquire these days. Who can convince the world that there are greater writers in indigenous Indian languages who can match René Char, Henri Michaud, or Paul Celan?
Thank you very much.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Guha. So, thank you for this very vibrant speech on this polyphony divine de l'Inde. And we're going to give the floor to Mr. Daniel Neger. Very good, excellent, vibrant, powerful.
I'm also coming here to be more relaxed, in fact. Sablogonko namaste, Andariki namaskaram. Bonjour à tous. Hello, everybody. Then I've been often talking either for international gatherings or even within India, very often for Telugu gatherings mostly, speaking very much in the lines that have already been described by Monsieur Pujol as well as Guha Chinmoy. In the sense that we are, this is something just I will say about translation for the time being, is definitely there is a need to translate from and to Indian languages, not only in English, but in many other world languages. Usually I speak about German, French, Japanese, Serbian or whatever, to show that the world is not only an English world outside, something which is not so always well known in local, in regional, and even in national context in India. But my talk within the very, very small limits that are being given will be, I will try to be very much informative as much as I can in regard to the topic about the promoting Indian literatures or Indian literature into foreign languages. Being a Frenchman, I will also give some information about how there is a possibility to extend knowledge about Indian languages and out of Indian languages to Indian literature through various institutions first. Then, first topic would be, but it will be clipped on. It will be very, very short, just concise to give ideas about what is going on, and one can be of help to bring about consciousness about those aspects. Then, as far as institutional study and research in France about language, culture, literature of India, Sahitya, in various languages is concerned, we have, and our Indian colleagues and general public must know also that there are many, many bodies of transmitting, studying the Indian culture, I mean, Samskriti, Nagarikata, Bhasha. We have INALCO in Paris, FAO, which is also IFIO, which is also in Pandi and Pune, and we have various research centers that I will not enumerate. There is the French Institute of Pondicherry and the Center for Human Sciences in Delhi. Why I'm speaking about this is because they are all concerned with higher Indian culture and trying to get an understanding that can be also shared with a different world outlook from Europe, for instance. Then, you have also, please, on Sahitya Academy, has to be aware, if not already, that there is a daily, DELI, French collaborative research project, which is called the Encyclopedic Dictionary of South Indian Literature, which is a project to gather, spread, and develop scholarship on South Asian literature, therefore on Indian literature, in France, but not only in France. There are two main objectives. It is first to bring about both a paper, an online encyclopedia of South Asian literature out of the literary traditions from the beginning, so to speak, to the present period of time. Most of South Asian languages, most of Indian languages, ancient and modern, oral and written, including folk, diasporal aspects of language, tribal literature, are to be better known and transmitted in the outside French-speaking world, but not only, out of this project, and through colliding and in cooperative ways. The second aim and broader framework of inquiry of the Delhi project is to reconsider, and here we come to the question of literature as such, to reconsider the nature of South Asia's literary cultures, of Indian literary cultures, by exploring and publicizing some of their specificities, whether it is cultural and literary dynamism, multilingualism and plurilingualism, oral performance and transmission. And here, again, myself also, I would like to underline what is the importance of non-written and sung type of poetry, which comes out of the compass of the Chandas, Chando Sastram or whatsoever, but which is so important in terms of the soul of India and in terms of being able to give representation from the root aspects of India. The S.V. Satyanarayana Agaru is going also to speak about this question of the relationship between poem and song, which is a huge aspect of question in terms of Indian civilizational relationship to the expression of words.
Nous avons 1 minute maintenant.
It's over?
No, 1 minute.
Okay. Then all of this Delhi project was also to, because these are some theoretical aspects which are important to say. It is not because it is French. It is really because of what is coming into it, to encourage cross-disciplinary debates on literariness, then what is literature, how it is being produced, and so on and so forth. Relations between literature, culture, religion, politics of literature, a self-representation of literary tradition, and the further objectives to support and organize academic events, workshops, international conferences and seminars, in order also to reinforce connections and collaborations between scholars working in this field and in the related fields. Just 1 minute, I'm just trying to see. Yeah, there would have been aspects that I could have done. But then, among all of these aspects of the Delhi project, it includes the question of translation, of course. And here we come to some points which have already been debated. Very often, when my specialty, so to speak, is about Telugu language, literature, culture. And very often, the problem with translations is that they are not sufficiently Sahitya Shaili, it will be very low in terms of the aesthetical result of the translation. In that case, nobody will get interested. On the contrary, when you look simplification of any type of original literary writing, and it is badly written or very without much consequence, you just discard this type of reading. And now I finish. Samapta Mahindi, Andariki Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Daniel Legers, for this very detailed information. So, such a rich preparation. So, thank you very much, and for your effort to be fitting all these such number of initiatives in such a short period of time. So now it's the floor for Satnarin Balkaranchik.
Festival planners and implementers of Sahitya Academy, fellow panelists, the media, literary attendees, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take another perspective, but Daniel, thanks for pre-introducing me. Promoting Indian literature in foreign language. I'm not going to deal with promoting Indian literature. I'm going to deal with literature from another perspective. When we deal with that, we're talking about two concepts. Currently, there might be no recognized foreign language in the West which is not influenced by Indo-Aryan ancestry. That's one. So it may not be foreign then. Two, language is the art and science of communication. And in this art form, there's the language of sound, vibration, speech, language of literature, written, and movements, physical, subtle, emotive, full of ras. We can write as much as we can. And if there's no ras in it, there's no flavor, there's no emotion, it falls flat on its face. It's delivered and received within a space, time, rhythm, continuum. And this is the language I am talking about here. I'm guided by these two concepts. So far, I have written non-fiction. Being a former senior public servant, I wrote only on economics and development, right? And represented the government in many countries. After that, I left. Then I drew heavily as an academic and as an artist. The narratives of my story, be they rituals or festivals, I have written on the soul of India. The rituals, the festivals, as they came out of the villages of India, transported and transposed into a Caribbean environment, a Trinidad and Tobago environment. On Carnival in Goa and Trinidad, Shivratri in India and Shivratri in Trinidad. And I'm talking about Banaras here. Phagwa, Diwali, Chitrakoot and Diwali in Trinidad. Muharram, which we call Husay, and Ramlila, village theatre. They are all English interspersed with local vernacular, be it broken Hindi. And since Indians came from India, 72-year period from 1845, they brought 16 languages to Trinidad. Today, we don't refer to them as single languages, Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit. We refer to them as it's a new genre. It is called Trin-Hinglish. Trinidad, all of these fall into Hindi and then English. So you would find these Trin-Hinglish words splash across the pages of my books, right? One is Shaping of a Culture. The next one is Ramlila, 100 years of Ramlila in Trinidad. I just recently, a few months ago, launched Husay Caribbean, taking Muharram straight from Mesopotamia into Iran, into India, into South America. Yes, there is Muharram in South America, Guyana, Suriname, then there's Jamaica and Trinidad. I am writing about that aspect of it, the culture, right? The sensitivity. So, back to my method of writing. As an artist, this method of writing has allowed me, as a diasporic Indian, yet being fully Trinidad, to document many aspects of our local cultural art forms and Indo-Trinidadian musical genres. So, and I would deal with one aspect of the music, which we call chutney. It's really chatak music. It is folk music that has been souped up. It is racy. It is spicy. It's a new genre of Trinidad and Caribbean music, but it has its backward and forward linkages. It has gone into Bollywood, and it has its movements that accompany this kind of music is sensuous, dripping with sexual connotation. It has spawned 16 varieties of, I'm sure you know the word whining, right? Moving the body, whining, 16 varieties, and you could see all of them in Bollywood today, but it came from Trinidad and the Caribbean. So you have backward and forward linkages, and using this style of writing, I have documented village theatre of Ramlila, 100 years of Ramlila in Trinidad, but it's much more, 120. Then the music of Muharram. We have lost the swords and the marsiya, right? And we have used the rhythms, the percussion rhythm. So the tassa, kettle drum, dole, janj, they have become the surrogate music for the Muharram melodies. They have captured mood, ras, right? And they are in performance rhythmic patterns, right? They are ritual rhythms.
Now we have 1 minute.
Good, lovely. The ethnographic, I write not as a historian, because I'm not a historian, but I take history, right, and I use it as an artist, as a musician, as an economist. So the thoughts expressed are presented from geopolitical, historical, socioeconomic, ethnographic, anthropological, and a phenomenological perspective, the mysticism of it. Much of it is currently being choreographed, produced, and directed back onto the stage. So my writing is creative, it is literary presentations, right? And it brings resilience and synchronism to Trinidad as we in the Caribbean reinterpret the life of diasporic peoples. Beyond identities, beyond boundaries, across geographic boundaries, forming a new identity. You would know Nobel laureate, I'm ending. Vidya Naipaul, Sir Vidya Naipaul, he wrote from a Trinidad perspective. His major works were from a Trinidad perspective, and that is what made him important. My creative writing and promotion of Indian literary arts straddle the entire spectrum of human rituals and festivals in Trinidad, presenting these in Trin-Hinglish with a visual narrative. It may just be an emergent Indian language in the future, Trin-Hinglish. My writing, if there is time later on in the second round, I would read some of what I have written, how they have written. And I thank you very much for being a very attentive audience.
Thank you very much, Sandarin Balkaran Singh, for this very important testimony on the holistical approach to literature. So now we'll have Sonu Saini.
Thank you, Your Excellency. May I request, please show the PPT. Yeah. Thank you very much. First of all, my gratitude to Sahitya Akademi and Your Excellency for this opportunity. I have been, like as Mr. Chinmoy Guha said, that it's not about promoting the books. It's about like voices to be heard And on the same principle, I would like to present this kind of case study, translation of literature from Indian languages to Russian and vice versa as well. So, yeah, there are 4 points. I think it may not be visible because, can we show it there? There also? No, only here. Okay, so there are 4 points like demand of Indian literature and some of the translated works which we have completed, and collaboration on Indian and on literature between India and Russia. So if we see that literature has that power, like all we agree about that, like literature has the power that a person can reach even before going to that country. Similarly happened like Annabhav Sathe, when he reached Moscow in 1960s, his books were translated already. And he was amazed and surprised to see that people already knew him. And he wrote about this in his book, My Journey to Russia, as experiences. And then in 2022, his bust was installed in Moscow. Apart from, like, we have various monuments of Tagore and Gandhi in Russia. So that literature has that power, we all agree upon that. Recently we had a Moscow book fair in which India was the guest country, and there were around 20 authors who have visited Russia in this delegation, and they all were having the similar question, whether the Russians would like to read us, they would like to know about our culture, about literature, because we have read them plenty of, like once upon a time. And they were all amazed to see, as like I'm saying that it's a kind of case study, it can be similar to other countries, but they were all amazed to see that how Russians were after Indian literature, but they do not have that plenty of literature. And when they were here, like they were in these sessions, they had a lot of interest in getting to know about the literature and all. So even this lady who's here, her father has drawn pictures, like illustrations based on Mahabharata. You must have read somewhere sometime back, and based on that he illustrated those illustrations. So it was like Mahabharata in illustrations. So that was a kind of impact people have from Indian literature in Russia. Yeah. And these are some works like which we have already translated and published from Indian languages, majorly from Hindi to Russian. Irshad Kamil's Tajendra Singh Luthra, who was here yesterday, Sachidanand Joshi ji and Madhav Kaushik ji. Then Vanshi Maheshwari, Annabhav Sathe's book has been, like we found the manuscript and then edited it as per today's requirement and then published it. Of course, like about Russian literature as well, and Indrajit Singh ji's Bharat ke Pushkin Shailendra. So he has that kind of experiences, so we translated it into Russian. Apart from that, there was a wonderful project by NBT that they published. They translated around 10 books, or in total there were 20 books, children's stories, which has single stories and wonderful with nice illustrations. And these books were published in bilingual, in Hindi, English and Russian. So these were the books which we translated and published, and this is a recent work which we translated, Ramesh Bijlani's like yoga practice and theory. This was by the way one of the hit books which was there in the book fair, and many publishers wanted to get right to publish this book in Russia. So things are going on, like of course at the ministerial level as well, that there should be a collaboration between Indian authors and Indian publishers with Russian authors and Russian publishers. So that will also come very soon, that a lot of translation work will take place from each countries. The other book which was like Buddha for youngsters, like for youth, Sabyasachi's Bhattacharya ji. Then these are the short stories like for students, for children basically. So various Rabindranath Tagore's book was also there, Ramesh Bijlani's, Manjul Sabyasachi Bhattacharya ji and Yuvraj Malik ji's. And this one of the books, Parva, which was part of the project when Sahitya Akademi has coined this project like on the basis of PMO's requirement. 10 books were translated from Indian languages to Russian, and Professor Abhay Mora is here. He was coordinating that project. So one book, this Parva, was translated by him and by me jointly. Then we have also translated various other works from Russian to Indian languages. Based on that, what I learned, I started, like earlier also I used to write some poems and stories, but by translating these work, it gave me some strength and of course like techniques like how to write. So I tried to write my own poems in this book, like around 31 poems were written in Russian, and of course like in English and Hindi they are there. Then we have gone one step ahead from translation, because we know that the reachability of book is very limited. So what we did, like we made an app on Android phone, for Android phone, and it was uploaded on the Google Play Store. And this app was a kind of prototype. Like one can just upload their stories, and the text will be visible, as well as the text, like it can be in bilingual, it can be in single language, and as well as one can listen to the sound of this one. Can you just play this?
Now we have 1 minute.
All right. So this is the demo of the application which we developed, and it has these stories in English and in Russian and Hindi.
Григорий Иванович шумно вздохнул, вытер подбородок рукой. Я, братцы мои.
Voice थोड़ी कम कर लीजिए.
ग्रिगोरी इवानोविच ने नाक से आवाज करते हुए एक लंबी सांस भरी और आस्तीन से अपनी ठोड़ी को पोंछते.
So this was one of the examples like which we have developed, and now we'll be of course taking all our translations into such app, because we understand like book cannot reach to every corner, but through technology we can make sure that voices are heard in every corner of the world. And this was all currently it was like on non-commercial basis, without any advertisement and without any charges. But yes, like to sustain, then we have to explore some more options and support. This was the scenario of Moscow Book Fair, where a lot of Indian literature was showcased, and people were very interested to know more about India, to learn more about Indian culture, and not only about Hindi of course, but other languages, other culture of the states. So there were some sessions. So with this, like I would just like to say that of course, like spreading the works is very, very important, because each and every works, I believe, like each and every work has something special, has something to be learned from. And I think with this, like we can learn from each other, and we can, of course, share our culture with each other in various countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sonu Saini, for bringing us this experience with Russia. And now we will have Subhashni Lata Kumari.
गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन. आप सभी को मेरा सादर प्रणाम, राम राम, निसंबुला. I represent the 5th generation of diasporic Indians, Girmitias living in Fiji. And today I feel honored to share my thoughts on the global spread of Indian literature viewed from a Fijian perspective. As highlighted by the panelists and the previous scholars, that Indian literature has relevance not only in India but across the globe. Indian literature has traveled beyond the boundaries of India and has shaped the identities, connected the diasporic communities with their homeland. बिहार की भूमि मेरे गिरमिटिया पूर्वजों की भूमि है. 1879 से 1916 के बीच लगभग 61,000 प्रवासी भारतीय यहाँ से फिजी गए, और उसमें से लगभग 70% लोग जो थे वो उत्तर प्रदेश या बिहार से थे. तो आज मुझे इस भूमि, इस मंच से जुड़कर बहुत गर्व और अपनापन महसूस होता है, क्योंकि ये भी मेरे देश की माटी और वो भी मेरे देश की माटी, और इस माटी को नमन है. जहाँ ना पहुँचे रवि, वहाँ पहुँचे कवि, तो सूर्य की असंख्य किरणों की तरह जो भारतीय साहित्य है विश्व के कोने कोने तक पहुँची है। और ऐसा ही एक कोना है फिजी, जहाँ पर आप देखेंगे कि कबीर के दोहे बोले जाते हैं, रामचरितमानस की, रामायण की चौपाइयाँ गाई जाती है, और महाभारत और गीता की कथा जो है जीवन का सार जो है वो समेटती है। गिरमिटिया काल के अंतर्गत कठिन परिस्थितियों में हमारे पूर्वजों ने वहाँ पर अपनी कर्म भूमि बनाई, और साथ साथ इस कर्म भूमि में अपनी भारतीय सभ्यता और संस्कृति और सामाजिक जीवन को कायम रखा। और इसको कायम रखने में जो भारतीय साहित्य ने अहम भूमिका बनाई है वह है भक्ति साहित्य, जिसमें गोस्वामी तुलसीदास जी की रामचरितमानस और प्रेममयी शारखा से अगर हम ले तो कबीरदास के दोहे की पंक्तियों का वहाँ पर बहुत मान सम्मान और जीवन, व्यवहारिक जीवन जीने में इसका जो महत्व है बहुत ही सराहनीय रहा है। जैसे कि उद्घाटन समारोह के अंतर्गत भी गवर्नर जी ने कहा है कि ट्रू लिटरेचर नॉट ओनली unites us with our soul but also brings us closer to the divine essence that binds us all. And truly, the Bhakti literature, the Indian literature has binded the diasporic Indians of the Fiji community. क्योंकि वो भारत के अलग अलग प्रांत से गए थे, लेकिन आज फिजी हिंदी बोलते हैं और सभी एक साथ मिलजुल कर रह रहे हैं। When we talk about Gurmit ideology, it is mostly predominantly based on the Hindu ideology based on Rama's banishment and Ram Rajya. हमारे लिए भारतीय साहित्य क्या है? ये सिर्फ धार्मिक आस्था की बात नहीं है, हमारे लिए एक शक्ति है, कष्टों को सहने की शक्ति, उनसे लड़ने के लिए हमें प्रेरणा देती है। तो इस तरह से जब हम देखते हैं तो भारतीय साहित्य जो है एक हमारे लिए एंका है, एक तरह से जीवन जीने के लिए वो हमें रिजिलियंस देता है। जब कष्टों के अंतर्गत हमारे गिरमिटिया पूर्वज गिरमिट काल में 10 घंटे 12 घंटे काम कर कर अपने कोठरियों में आते थे, तो उनके पास कोई ऐसा साहित्य या मनोरंजन का साधन नहीं था, क्योंकि वो कुछ ही साहित्यिक ग्रंथ लेकर आए थे। उसमें था रामचरितमानस, तो वो बैठकर रामचरितमानस की चौपाइयों का गान वगैरह करते थे। तो जो नकारात्मक ऊर्जा थी उसको सकारात्मक शक्ति में बदलने का जो काम है वो भारतीय साहित्य ने किया है। वे अपने वनवास को, यानी कि जो गिरमिट काल को वो राम के वनवास के तुल्य मानते थे। तो वतन से वंचित शारीरिक पीड़ा के बावजूद उनमें जो तुलसीदास की जो पंक्तियाँ थी, रामायण सुतरु की छाया, दुख भयो दूर निकट जो आया, तो एक संजीवनी बूटी का काम इसने किया है। कल्प वृक्ष के भांति जो चुनौतियाँ थी उससे लड़ने का साहस भी देते हैं। ऐसे ही जो कविगण थे, जैसे जोगिंदर सिंह कनवल है, वो अपनी कविताओं में पौराणिक संदर्भ प्रस्तुत करते हैं और कहते हैं कि जैसे तुलसीदास जी ने अपने राम के बारे में लिखा, वैसे ही हमारे जो फिजी के लेखक हैं उनको भी अपनी राम की कहानियाँ सुनानी है। तो जहाँ क्रिएटिव कंटिन्यूटी की बात आती है, क्योंकि उस दौरान बहुत कम साहित्य था, तो जो डिफरेंट जॉनरेज ऑफ लिटरेचर है वो हमने रामचरितमानस से ही लिया। कथा, कहानियाँ, कविताएं, दोहे, गीत रचना, तो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ जॉनरे एक ही ग्रंथ से हम लोगों को मिले हैं। तो आ तुलसीदास तू छेड़ अनोखा गायन, इन रामों की आज फिर लिख नई रामायण। तेरे राम को मिला था 14 वर्ष वनवास, रामचरितमानस लिख दिया बनकर उनका दास। अपने रामों के बीत गए हैं 100 से ऊपर साल, फिर भी भटकन भाग्य में कैसी समय की चाल। तो हमें भी कुछ ना कुछ लिखना है। तो इस तरह से समय बहुत कम है, बहुत कुछ कहना है, लेकिन मैं यही कहना चाहूँगी कि सृजन की शक्ति जो होती है, क्रिएटिविटी जो है, और वो भारत से फिजी के प्रवासी भारतीयों तक वहाँ से सेतु के रूप में चलकर हम तक पहुँची है, और साहित्य जो है एक दिशा दिखाता है, एक सेतु धरता है। तो ये जो सेतु हम लोगों के बीच में बंधा है, ये सिर्फ पीढ़ियों का सेतु नहीं है, ये एक समाज को दूसरे समाज से जोड़ता है, एक देश को दूसरे देश से जोड़ने का प्रयास करता है। आज रामचरितमानस के माध्यम से जो प्रवासी भारतीयों के अलावा जो वहाँ के नेटिव फिजियंस है, they have translated Ramcharitmanas into Fijian language as well. So that shows the spread of literature in apart from English to Fijian language in Fiji. Thank you. इन शब्दों से मैं अपनी बात रखती हूँ। आपका ध्यान आकर्षित करने के लिए, मुझे सुनने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much. Thank you. So now will be the floor for Ulfat Mukiborwa.
नमस्कार आदरणीय आज की ये संगोष्ठी के प्रतिभागियों। आखिरी वक्तव्य को सुनना बहुत मुश्किल है, सब थक चुके हैं, लेकिन आप मेरे 50% समय की चोरी की मैं कोशिश करूंगी 5 मिनट में सब बोलना। वैसे साहित्य का प्रचार प्रसार का 3 रास्ता है जैसे मेरे नज़र में। एक है इसी देश के शिक्षा प्रणाली में एक विषय रखना जिसको गहराई से बच्चों को अध्ययन कराना। ये हमारे उज़्बेकिस्तान में 1947 से हिंदी भाषा और हिंदी साहित्य पढ़ाई जाती है। अब हमने 2022 को इसके 75वीं सालगिरह मनाया हमारे विभाग का, और बहुत बड़ा अंतर्राष्ट्रीय सेमिनार हुआ, बहुत से देशों से लोग आए। और इसमें मैं ये कह सकती हूँ कि अगर 75 साल है, आज तो 75 से ज़्यादा है, तो हमारे विद्यार्थियों को शोध कार्य आखिरी कोर्स में लिखना पड़ता है। कोई लिंग्विस्टिक्स चुनता है, कोई साहित्य। तो लगभग 150 कवि और लेखकों के कृतित्व पर शोध कार्य लिखा जा चुका है। हमारे विभाग में वो पढ़ा है, कई को किताब का रूप दिया गया है। और दूसरा अनुवाद का काम है। अनुवाद तो साहित्य के प्रचार प्रसार में सबसे मुख्य काम है, और हमारे उज़्बेकिस्तान में अनुवाद का काम 2 काल में विभाजित कर सकते हैं। एक तो सोवियत काल, दूसरा स्वतंत्रता काल। सोवियत काल में क्यों हम ये बताते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे उज़्बेक लेखक कवि हिंदी के भारतीय लोगों की, भारतीय लेखकों कवियों की रचनाओं को रूसी में पढ़ के उससे बहुत प्रभावित होकर रूसी से उज़्बेक में अनुवाद किया, और बहुत सारी किताबें छप के आए हैं भारतीय लेखकों की कहानियाँ, भारतीय लेखकों की कविताएं करके उन्होंने रूसी से अनुवाद किया। इसका मतलब उनका भारतीय साहित्य इतना पसंद आया कि रूसी में अनुवाद करने का उन्होंने कोशिश की। लेकिन स्वतंत्रता के बाद हमें सीधा भारत के साथ हिंदी में किताबें प्राप्त करने का सौभाग्य मिला। इसके बाद अनुवाद का काम और भी जारी रहा, लेकिन इसमें सीधा हिंदी से उज़्बेक में अनुवाद हुआ। इसमें सबसे बड़ा योगदान अमीरुल्लाह फैज़ुल्लाह जी को है। ये चौबे साहब हमारे देश में जितने विद्वान हैं सबको जानते हैं। उनका बहुत बड़ा काम है, क्योंकि उन्होंने प्रेमचंद जी के 6 उपन्यासों का उज़्बेक में अनुवाद किया, बहुत सारी कहानियों को, कृष्ण चंद्र की रचनाओं का अनुवाद किया, यशपाल जी का, दुग्गल जी का की रचनाओं का अनुवाद किया, और सारे उनके अनुवाद एक किताब के रूप में छप के आए हैं। और उनका ये एक और बड़ा काम है अनुवाद के काम में, महाभारत और रामायण को भी उन्होंने हमारे टीवी में, ये तीसरा जो लाइन है, ये थिएटर या टीवी द्वारा भी हमारे देश में 3 बार रामायण और 2 बार महाभारत सीरियल दिखाया गया, और उन सबको अमीर फैज़ुल्लाह जी ने बहुत सुंदर करके अनुवाद किया। और इस साल हमारे विभाग में जब नया राजदूत साहिब आए, स्मिता पंत जी, उन्होंने कहा कि उज़्बेक महाभारत को उज़्बेक में अनुवाद करना है। तो हमने कहा हमारे यहाँ विभाग में अमीरुल्लाह फैज़ुल्लाह जी के महाभारत सीरियल का 800 पृष्ठ में हमने उसको टाइप करके रखा है, सिर्फ उसको प्रकाशित करना है, क्योंकि सीरियल में बहुत सी बातें अच्छी तरह प्रस्तुत की गई महाभारत के बारे में, उज़्बेक लोगों की जानकारी ज़्यादा अच्छी रहेगी। सोवियत ज़माने में भी महाभारत का अनुवाद हुआ था, लेकिन वो भी रूसी में थोड़ा सा वो कुरु पांडवों की लड़ाई के बारे में, इससे आगे कुछ नहीं है। लेकिन जो सीरियल दिखा गया उसमें शुरू से अंत तक अभी 800 का पृष्ठ में महाभारत का अनुवाद तैयार है। और इसके अलावा हमारे विभाग में बहुत शोध कार्य करने वाले हैं। आजकल निर्मल वर्मा पर मेरे एक शागिर्द पीएचडी कर रही है, दूसरी शागिर्द तमिल साहित्य पर चिन्नप्पा भारती के उपन्यासों पर अपना पीएचडी ख़त्म कर रही है। चिन्नप्पा भारती की पवलई उपन्यास भी उज़्बेक में अनुवाद करके मेरे शागिर्द ने अनुवाद करके उसको छपवा के उसका विमोचन जेएनयू में तमिल विभाग में चिन्नप्पा भारती के प्रस्तुति में हुआ था। और हमारे देश में जो अनुवाद करने वाले बहुत हैं, दूसरे अंसारुद्दीन इब्राहिम जो बाबरनामा पर काम करते थे, उन्होंने हितोपदेश को उज़्बेक में अनुवाद किया। पंचतंत्र का अनुवाद 4 बार हुआ, सबसे पहले रूसी से हुआ, दूसरा अनुवाद फारसी से हुआ और 2 बार हिंदी से उज़्बेक में अनुवाद था पंचतंत्र का। मैंने खुद प्राचीन हिंदी साहित्य में वेताला पंचविंशति का उज़्बेक में अनुवाद किया और 19वीं सदी की ओम प्रकाश वाल्मीकि सलाम कहानी का उज़्बेक में अनुवाद किया, वो भी प्रकाशित हो चुका है। और भारतीय कथाओं पर, प्राचीन कथाओं पर मेरा मोनोग्राफी है। हिंदी साहित्य पर पूरा वेदों से लेके 21वीं सदी तक की साहित्य पर मोनोग्राफ है। पंजाबी साहित्य पर अमृता प्रीतम पर हमारे उस्ताद ने अपना पीएचडी काम किया, उनकी किताबें भी छप के आए हैं। उज़्बेकिस्तान और भारत की साहित्यिक संबंधों पर उनकी बड़ी किताब है, वो हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में, पंजाबी में और रूसी में 4 भाषाओं में छप चुके हैं। जो तमारा जी की किताब है, वो हमारे सबसे सीनियर गुरु हैं, आज तक हमें हिंदी साहित्य पढ़ा रहे हैं। उनकी उम्र 84 वर्ष की है, लेकिन बहुत हिंदी साहित्य पर बहुत बड़े विद्वान हैं। तो हमारे उज़्बेकिस्तान में हिंदी भारत के प्रति बहुत रुचि है। हमारे राष्ट्रीय थिएटर में शकुंतला का प्रदर्शन अक्सर होता है, मंचन किया गया है शकुंतला। इस तरह के उज़्बेकिस्तान में हिंदी साहित्य पर बहुत काम होता है। मैंने खुद उज़्बेक प्राचीन काल के कवि जो नवाई के बाद जिसका नाम आता है, आगाही के उपदेशों को हिंदी में अनुवाद किया, वो भी 2022 को प्रकाशित हुआ हमारे यूनिवर्सिटी में। तो हम अभी बर काम जारी है। मेरा मुख्य विषय है भक्ति साहित्य। भक्त कवियों के बारे में मेरा विशेष किताबें छप चुका है भक्ति साहित्य नाम पर। उसमें सारे भक्त कवि हैं, सूरदास, तुलसीदास, अष्टचाप के कवि, मलुकदास, रामानंद जी, मलुकदास जी, रज्जब जी, दादू दयाल जी, इन सब के बारे में उस किताब में मैंने लिखा उज़्बेक में, हमारे उज़्बेक छात्रों को, उज़्बेक पाठकों के लिए। तो आगे जो रुचि होगी, सवाल होगे तो जवाब देने के लिए तैयार हूँ। धन्यवाद।
Thank you very much, Ulfan Murkivawa, and thank you to all the speakers for making this effort to synthesize so well their experiences in such a short time. So now we would have the floor for the audience. If someone wants to put any questions, but it has to be a sharp question, not a speech. Sharp question of 30 seconds. Yes, 30 seconds the question. Yes? "30 seconds, sharp question for a nice answer from the podium."
This is a response and also a comment to, but with a particular reference to Chinmay Guha, sorry. You made a mention of Jatin Das and Baudelaire. In fact, in Kannada, there was a translation of Baudelaire made by P. Lankesh. When Lankesh, translated Baudelaire into Kannada, it ushered in a new idiom of writing in Kannada. That's very interesting, and that's a kind of a revelation that you were trying to bring in both Jatin Das and Baudelaire together. That's one. Secondly, you said that there is the Indian literature does not have an aura that Tolstoy had, but I would slightly disagree with you because the recent translation of Dalit writing into English, this translation of Dalit writing into English has almost forced us to look at world literature from a different perspective. The so-called world literature, the canon of world literature is being redefined with the translation of Dalit literature into English.
Thank you. You want to answer back?
Just point noted. Similarly, when Buddhadev Boshu translated Baudelaire into Bengali, which had many flaws, but it revolutionized Bengali poetry. And when Saint-Jean Perse influenced André Gide to translate Tagore, he wrote to him that Tagore's translation is going to change Western literature forever. It did not. It was a damn squeeb. So there are strange incidents in the world of literature. It did not happen when Tagore was translated into French by André Gide. Of course, it was admired by Jiménez in Spain, by Saint-Jean Perse in France, by Rainer Maria Rilke in Germany, but it did not have that impact which Baudelaire had in Kannada or in Bengali. So this is something very interesting and unfortunate.
To answer? No. Okay, perfect. So the next question.
ये अच्छा आपने चिन्मय जी ने कहा कि प्रमोटिंग की जगह किसी और शब्द का इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए था, क्योंकि लगता है जैसे डेवलपिंग कंट्री है वैसी प्रमोटिंग है. सो वी कैन यूज स्पेस of Indian literature in foreign language. There are many about come, but the session is very informative, especially Professor Ulfat Muhibaji and Daniel, and also all are very good informative about the promotion of Indian languages. That is good. So I have suggested that word for a space of Indian literature in foreign languages.
I'm thinking, I, like all of us, I'm not sure, but it's a very good question. Thank you.
Any other question from the audience? Yes.
থ্যাঙ্কস টু অল। আমার চিন্ময়বাবুর কাছে একটি প্রশ্ন, সেটা হচ্ছে এই সময়কার বাংলা সাহিত্য ইংরাজি বাদ দিয়ে বিদেশি ভাষায় কতখানি অনুবাদিত হচ্ছে, এবং অনুবাদিত যদি না হয় এর প্রতিবন্ধকতার কারণ কি?
Sorry, I think there were excellent speakers in the panel, and I thank you for your question. He's asking me why contemporary Bengali poetry is not being translated. I think there was an answer in my presentation, and I don't want to go back to that. There are all kinds of problems. True translators who are equally versed in both languages, it's more difficult to find. I studied French for 23 hours out of 24 hours. Yeah, I have the system, I have it in my nervous system. But now more and more people walk very fast. They don't know the, I would say, shades of the language. It's not simple. You have 200 synonyms and you have to choose, and you may have to spend hours and hours and hours and days and weeks for a particular expression to be translated. And that kind of, I would say, dedication is lacking these days. I'm not blaming anyone. The times have changed. The times have changed, and people go for faster work, and translation needs dedication. I mentioned Constance Garnett, who dedicated all her life to Russian literature, or Justin O'Brien, France Bhattacharya in France, translated a lot of medieval Bengali poetry, contemporary poetry, Tagore, endlessly, and worked 12 hours a day at our table in Paris. So that kind, I have been living with Romain Rolland for the last 40 years. I sleep with Romain Rolland. So that kind of penetration is required, and hopping around doesn't really help. But of course, a lot of work is being done. I'm greatly encouraged by what Daniel Nuger said, and our friend from Trinidad, and Satyanarayan G, Balkaran Singh, and Sonu Saini, and Subhashini Lata Kumari. Fantastic, and greatly encouraged, inspired by what Wolfert Mukhiboa said in impeccable Hindi about work being done in Uzbekistan. So it's not all darkness. There is light. I think there is light. Some soldiers are fighting hard to reach that point. Derrida said, one can't blame the translator because he's always wrong. but the effort goes on. Thank you. We are all old men in a dry mouth waiting for rain. Thank you.
You know, this question is asked very often. Like, why this author, why that author, why not this author, or why not that poet? See, the exact answer to this question, I think, can be, one has to take initiative. It can be either reader, it can be either writer or poet, it can be the publisher, or anyone, or a translator who is reading that work, and then somebody has to take initiative. There should be a proposal, okay, let us translate this work. Otherwise, all works are like a beautiful forest, and every tree in that as a work has a different fruit. Some trees may have different speciality. But who is going to say that, okay, this tree is wonderful, let us maybe explore more, or let us take the branches of this tree to other country or other part of the forest, so that people are living over there, they can also get some benefit. So there is that's why an initiative is required, a proposal is required, an idea is required, either publisher, writer, poet, reader, from anyone, or a translator. Then only such things happens. Because as it was said that there are very few translators who have a good reach to both the cultures, and then of course they are also having their own schedule and engagements. So one has to have this kind of initiative, and then of course it can be done.
Thank you very much.
Here you are. I have been asked to read a few lines of what is referred to as the soul of India, and not lost in translation. And I'm reading here from Vijay Dashami in Felicity, the Trinidad Ramlila. Indentured Indians pioneering village theatre, Raghu's Leela, chanting and interpreting verses of this ancient saga of the legend of Prince Rama of Kosala, battling demons and armies scattered all over India to rescue beautiful Sita from Raja Ravan of Lanka. Today, the staccato rhythm of the booming tassa drowns out the audible roll of a distant thunder. Cumulus clouds mingle with crimson nimbus, Ashwin weather. In the evening sky over the Felicity Ramlila, they conjure up images of mystic lakes of molten lava. Even the egrets, in precise squadron formation, glide overhead stealthily like a dark bomber battalion. Rama's Air Force scanning the scene of today's conflagration, riding the air currents to their secret destination, a foreboding omen of King Ravan's destruction. This is a tale of valor embodied an ancient culture, an epic story that predates Christianity. The legend of Sita and Prince Rama of Ayodhya, brought by audacious adventurers across the Kalapani and blossoming for a century in the soil of La Trinity.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much with this very nice reading of the poetry by Sadmarin Balkarashing. We will conclude the session. We will conclude by saying that translation, it never will be as perfect as the original language, but it allows us to go into the universe of other cultures and other minds. So in Spanish we have a motto that can be understood in different ways, but essentially it says that the excellence is the enemy of the good. So let's accept that the good is enough for us and try to get to the excellence. Thank you very much to all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for that wonderful summation of the entire session. Could you kindly come forward for a photo op? Let's take a picture for posterity. Thank you very much. Ambassador Juan Antonio Mark Pujol, Abi Subedi, who joined us from Nepal, Chinmoy Guha, Daniel Nejes, Satnarayan